Regular meeting, City Hall, April 19th, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. And we will begin with an invocation and pledge allegiance, and I'll introduce Commissioner Carlos Bailey.
And this is the first time that I've actually prayed in public. I had somebody who was supposed to be here, so please bear with me. I would ask everybody to stand, please, and bow your heads. First, I want to give thanks for everybody that is here in this room, Lord. And God, I just want to ask thank you for the abundance of blessings that you have given to our people in our city. Thank you for everything, for the protections that you have given us. And thank you for letting us come together as one. Out of many, there are one, Lord. Please give us the wisdom to make wise decisions on behalf of the people of Bowling Green and our city. Thank you for each leader that is here that makes a decision daily for everyone. And please, I pray the protection for our city each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I would ask everyone to turn and pray so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have two alumni from Warren Central up here, Carlos Bailey and myself, and we are very excited to announce or bring up the following. Oh, well, hang on, before roll call. This is before, we're on schedule. We have with us in-house Warren Central basketball team runner-up for the Kentucky State Championship. Please stand up, gentlemen. Coach, would you come forward to the podium and introduce your team?
Yes. Let's see. We have Demarion Walkup. Raise your hand. Demetrius Barnett. Omari Glover. Jaden Lawrence. Cade Unsel. Isaiah Villaforte. Malik Jefferson. And Tavion Wells. In the back, we have Coach Ethan Meredith, Chappelle Whitney, and Caden Hammer. And right here, we Coach Anthony Hickey.
Coach, congratulations to you and your
Coach
team.
Leland Taylor right there. I'm sorry, see him over there. He's hiding. Coach Leland Taylor.
Well, we invite you to come up here. I think the height will actually put you about right, and we'd like to get a photo with you.
All right.
Yes, congratulations. Yeah, just keep going.
Probably the coaches in the middle, and then the young men.
Dana, can you hand this over?
Yes, that chair this way.
One for me as well. Or just send me the one that you got.
I'll send it to you. We'll tweet this out for the city.
All right, Coach, do you have a son on this team?
That is okay.
How was it playing for your dad? Was he harder on you?
Yeah, he nodded. All right, commissioners, come in a little bit. All right. Say dragons on two. 1, 2. Dragons. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, Carlos. How we will accomplish roll call, please.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Perigin. Mayor Alcott.
Here. Mr. Meisel, do you have any comments at this time?
I have one more recognition that I'd like to make, Mayor.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then I have a few cleanup odd and ends to take care of. I'd like to ask Coach Holly Vincent and Casey Freeman to come up to the podium. I'd like to congratulate Coach Holly Vincent and Casey Freeman. They are going to compete in Orlando, Florida at Walt Disney World in the 2022 U.S. Games on June 5th through the 10th at ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex. Holly is going to serve as an assistant delegation coach for the Team Kentucky athletes and coaches. And Holly's been with us since 2015 at Bowling Green Parks and Recreation Special Populations Program, and currently serves as our coordinator there for Special Pops. Miss Casey Freeman is from Franklin, Kentucky, and is going to compete in bowling. She's a bowler. So really proud. She has been in our program with Parks and Rec for the last 12 years and is a dedicated athlete that will represent our region, our state well. So congratulations, Casey and Holly. We wish you the best of luck on the trip to Orlando and competing at Walt Disney World in bowling and go bowl some strikes. So congratulations. Yeah, we're gonna get a picture, Holly. We need to get a picture.
Let's come on up. Actually, just come on up here.
Up there? Yeah, come on, Holly.
You're our height. Yeah.
Mayor, you want to hand that
Yeah,
back?
as soon as I get it to. It is.
Come on in up here, ladies. How we doing, Holly?
Right, now we're ready. Congratulations, Casey. Congratulations, Holly. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll get you right here under the seal. Yeah, right there. All right. Florida. Thank you.
I'd like to remind anyone in the audience that would like to make public comments after our meeting, there's a sign-up sheet in the back corner of the on the clipboard. Make sure you sign up to make comments. And then lastly, I need to withdraw item number 14, Mayor, Municipal Order 2022-76. There's been some additional information that has come in that we need to work on that item, and we'll bring it back when it's ready. So I'd like to withdraw that item number 14, Municipal Order 2022-76.
Michael, may I make
Absolutely.
a recognition to our very own Todd Alcott, Mayor Alcott, being recognized in the Warren County Schools Hall of Fame. It's a big deal.
I'm humbled.
Well, it's a big honor. Glad to have you here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Meisel. Our first item is our minutes, and we've had an opportunity to review those from regular meeting, March 15, 2022. Any comments?
Approve?
Move to
Second.
approve. Second by Melinda and by Carlos. Second. Oh, and roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-63.
Municipal order approving the reappointment of Pamela Napier to the Bowling Green Audit Committee.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. I talked to Pamela. She has served on the auditing committee, and she would like to continue. And we have Katie Schaller Awards. Actually, we have Deborah Jenkins' approval to continue to have her serve. So I'd like to continue to nominate her for this position. Any questions? Okay. None. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-64.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2022-28 for fiscal year 2022 sidewalks and greenways professional services from Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc. of Paducah, Kentucky, in the amount of $97,888.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Carlos Bailey, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Meisel.
So we issued a request for proposals for the survey and design services on our annual sidewalk construction and greenways expansion. And this will include topographic surveys, development of construction plans to get those ready, those projects ready for construction. We received 2 bids, and we are going with the lowest bid of Bacon Farmer Workman Engineering and Testing, Inc., out of Paducah, Kentucky, at $97,888. This was actually an evaluated bid based on cost, qualifications, and scope, but they are being recommended for the contract. Kyle Hunt, our Assistant City Engineer, is here, as well as Greg Meredith, our Public Works Director, if you have any questions on this. But in your packets, you will see the proposed sidewalk locations and the proposed greenway locations. Do you want me to hit those real quick, or
I would,
for the public?
please.
Okay, along Morgantown Road, we are looking at going from Loop Street, this is for sidewalk construction, Loop Street to Old Morgantown Road, about 1,207 linear feet. Along Creekwood Avenue from Russellville Road to Spring Creek Avenue, 1,527 feet. Along Rhodes Drive from Ridgecrest Way to Loving Way, 1,546 linear feet. Along Riverwood Avenue from Fairview to 31W Bypass is 1,011 feet. And then along Rockingham Lane from Caron to the Bowling Green High School south entrance, I believe that is close down to the by the baseball field, that's 486 feet for a total of 5,777 feet of sidewalk. For greenways, along Small House, we're going from Campbell Lane to Thimblefinger Way, 699 feet. Along Bryant Way, we're going from Shive Lane to Scottsville Road. That's a pretty good stretch of 2,309 feet. And then along Lovers Lane, we're going from the Hub Boulevard to Searcy Way, even a longer stretch of 4,355 feet. And note on Lovers Lane, we're taking the existing 5-foot sidewalk and widening it to 8 feet as a kind of a shared use greenway / sidewalk path. So again, Kyle and Greg are here if you have any questions on this proposal. And I think there is one map of one area in your packet for these projects. Ask for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Questions at this time? There are none. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-65.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2022-37 for APC uninterruptible power supply replacement for the police department from Power Systems Engineering of Spring Hill, Tennessee, in the amount of $62,938.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Mizel.
Our UPS is an uninterruptible power supply system that we use for IT as backup. Whenever there's a power outage, this system is relied upon to keep us going until a generator kicks in. Before you tonight is a contract or award of a bid for the one we have out at Greenwood Fire Station that serves as our backup center for 911 dispatch. It's about 14 years old. It was put in when that station was built, and it is becoming obsolete, difficult to find parts for when there's breakage, and it just needs replacing. This is a critical piece, as I mentioned. It actually kicked in, I think, during December 11th, shortly for just a short time until we got back up. But we received 7 bids. The lowest bid was local, but they had to withdraw due to, I'm sorry to say, the death of one of the owners. And so we had to go with Spring Hill in Tennessee. It's called Power Systems Engineering of Spring Hill, Tennessee, in the amount of $62,938. I believe that's correct. This is also all funded by the Homeland Security grant that we got last year for $62,800, so win-win. So ask for your support. Danita Weeks, our IT Director, is here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Any questions at this time? None? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-66.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2022-38 for Cisco Wireless Access Points from Zones LLC of Auburn, Washington, in the amount of $70,478.48.
I'll move.
Second.
By Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
I've got to back up and make a correction on that last one. It was low bidder. This is the one where we had a withdrawal of the winning bid at the 62,000, the 62,000 again was withdrawn, and we're going on this one. This is the outdoor Cisco wireless access points. We got, again, 6 bids. One of them had to withdraw, as I mentioned, due to the death, and we're going with Zones LLC of Auburn, Washington. And this will replace, we're going from 60 access points down to 43, but we think we're going to move some around and get better coverage and replace those and have a really good outdoor Cisco wireless system in our parks and public areas. And again, Danita Weeks is here to ask or answer any questions and to cover any of my mistakes that I've made on in this one as well. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Questions or comments at this time? All right, there are none. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-67.
Municipal order authorizing the continuation of a contract for aquatic chemicals with Madison Swimming Pool Company of Goodlettsville, Tennessee, in the amount of $71,920.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Bailey. Mr. Mizel.
so the city has 3 recreational water facilities, I would call them: Russell Sims Aquatic Center, Limestone Springs at Lambkin, and then in the fountain at Circus Square. And as you know, we need aquatic chemicals for those facilities. We went out for bid last year, and we have an option to renew that this year, and that's what's before you tonight. It's just to continue with the same company, Madison Swimming Pool Company out of Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Our system requires a specific chemical that goes with that system, and they are able to supply that for us. So we had a slight increase in cost, but we went ahead and decided to renew this. We think it's the best deal and efficient, so we can have chemicals that we need. Brent Belcher is here if you have any questions on this item.
Questions at this time? None. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-68.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2022-30 for Wilkinson Trace entry corridor improvements through non-competitive negotiations with Bluegrass Landscape of Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the amount of $90,480.04.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
This is a project that I had kind of brought up, and I think aesthetics and first impressions are important. And this is a project over in front of the Sloan Convention Center to spruce up the landscaping and the corridor down Wilkinson Trace from Scottsville Road to the Convention Center. The grass is not what it should be in landscaping. And so we went out for bid. We didn't get any bids on this project, but we finally went into negotiation and found a company, Bluegrass Landscape, that's willing to do this project for us. Upfront cost is going to be $75,000 paid for out of the convention center, and yearly maintenance for mowing and maintenance of the landscaping is going to be roughly $14,000 a year. This is about almost 24,000 square feet to maintain. We're not going to cut down any of the trees, the nice hedge maple trees. They'll remain, but we are going to replace, forgive me for saying, but the ratty-looking turf and some in the islands. And there's about 9 islands over there, and get it to looking good. We'll put irrigation system in where we can keep things looking green and nice and aesthetically pleasing to all of the visitors and people that stay in that area that come to Bowling Green. We want to represent well. So Dave Hayner took care of this project in Public Works, and Greg's here, can help me answer any questions y'all might have on this one.
I'm going to say thank you. That really does need that sprucing up for our hospitality and our tourism. Thank you all.
Okay, any further questions, comments? None at this time. Roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-69.
Municipal order adopting the 2022 Barren River Regional Multi-Jurisdictional Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan for the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
So moved.
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Bailey. Mr. Mizel.
So we are required to have in place a hazard mitigation action plan under requirements of FEMA. And we have an agreement in place dating back to 2003 to participate in a regional hazard mitigation plan. And that plan is put together by our Barren River Area Development District. And we have with us tonight Mr. Eric Sexton, the director at BRAD. And I'd like to ask Eric to come up and make comments and answer questions about the hazard mitigation plan that they put together.
Mr. Sexton.
Afternoon. It's nice to be here this afternoon, and it's good to see some familiar faces around the table. As Mr. Mizel said, my name is Eric Sexton. I'm the Executive Director of the Barren River Area Development District. We've been your area development district since 1968, and we've enjoyed a long partnership of helping our counties and cities plan for the future. Tonight before you is a request to adopt the Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. I want to give you just a little bit of history on how we got here. For some of you, a few of you have actually been at the table with us, some of our commissioners and some in city government over the last year. This past year, Brad took a little more of a holistic approach to meet some federal requirements for 2 plans, a regional hazard mitigation plan that's required to be updated every 5 years, and also a comprehensive economic development strategy. So instead of meeting separately, we combined our process, and at the county level was appointed a steering committee. And those steering committees have been meeting actually in all 10 of our counties over the last year, discussing not only hazards that are in the region, but other opportunities, strengths, and weaknesses to basically create a plan. The county level strategic plan is actually what is in front of you today. It also exists online at planning.brad.org. But what we're here for tonight is the mitigation plan. And so the committee met throughout the last year and put together a mitigation plan. On page 2 of the document in front of you, you'll actually find a comprehensive listing of many of the committee members that attended each meeting. I do want to mention that Warren County and the city of Bowling Green, as well as the other incorporated cities, are represented on the BRAD board by Mr. Gary Dillard, who is also here tonight. Mr. Dillard also serves on our executive body and has been very engaged in the planning process. But we thought it would be good for him to be here tonight so that you can see a face that is always at BRAD and that's involved, helping us as we navigate through the processes that we're required to complete. Also want to mention Miss Emily Hathcock that's with us is our Associate Director of Planning and Development and really is the brainchild behind these 2 processes and combining them. So throughout that booklet you will see strategic goals and plans that were identified. They do not supersede any individual plan that a city or municipality have of their own. Rather, they should complement that. And then you'll also see specific information pertaining to hazards. The actual hazard mitigation plan is live, and it exists only online at hazards.brad.org. We decided to move into the 2022 era and went against providing you an 800-page binder that would just collect dust on a shelf somewhere. And so this plan actually lives online, and it will be reviewed quarterly as we move forward into the upcoming years through the local steering committees that will continue to meet to discuss not only the hazard portion of the plan, but the goals and objectives identified by the counties and cities. I also want to mention that the Warren County Emergency Management Director, Ronnie Pearson, was heavily involved in this process and has done a tremendous job representing the needs of all of Warren County and the city of Bowling Green as it pertains to the plan. As Mr. Meisel mentioned, each municipality is required to adopt the plan to be eligible for FEMA mitigation funding, and that's why the hazard plan is so important. And that's also why we think the continued partnership with the City of Bowling Green and the Barron River Area Development District is important going forward. This is just one small example of many ways that we can partner to better all of our communities in Bowling Green and Warren County. So I would be glad to answer any questions that you all have about the hazard plan specifically or anything that Brad can do for you.
Mr. Sexton, thank you so much for your development and continuation, as we know how critical and important it is to cooperate and have plans and to be able to mitigate, when we have dangerous situations or we have catastrophes. So we thank you for your help and working with Ronnie and all of our committee members. So we thank you for your diligent work. Thank you, Mr. Dillard.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? All right. So by this yes order, we adopt this plan for the city of Bowling Green, and we're endorsing. Okay. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Thank you all. Municipal order number 2022-71.
70.
70.
Municipal order authorizing the approval and submission of fiscal year 2023 annual plan for the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Meisel.
It requires us to submit this annual plan at least 75 days prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st, and update it every 5 years. This is for the upcoming fiscal year 23. I'd like to thank Elvira Romick, who's here tonight with us, our housing director, housing manager, and before you in your packet is a copy of the plan. And there was a public hearing held on this March 14th of this year, just a few weeks ago, to receive public comments. Copies of the plan were distributed to the resident advisory board for review, and everything has been completed. All I's and T's have been dotted and crossed, and I think we're ready to approve this. And if you have any questions, again, Elvira's here along with Brent Childers to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Childers, for your team. Elvira, thank you for your diligence and work, how this helps out our community, and will continue to help out our community. So we thank you very much, and good to see you tonight.
Can I add a quick comment?
Absolutely.
I'm just excited to see how this is an alignment with the strategic plan we adopted earlier this year, and I'm hopeful that some of those task forces that we put together can help us make some of these long-term action plans we have here towards, around affordable housing and making that happen with all the players at the table with builders and developers and all that. So I'm excited to see all of that coming together, and thank you for being such an important part of that. We're really grateful for your work and your leadership.
Other questions? All right. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-71.
Municipal order authorizing the submission of an application for Kentucky Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Community Project Funding to the Kentucky Department for Local Government in an amount up to $1 million.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Bailey, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Mizel.
So we recently found out that we could apply for the CDBG CV grant, community project funds for $1 million, and we'd like to ask for your support. We would like to use this to go towards the Transpark Fire Station, if we get it, to match or help fund that construction, estimated at roughly $3.2 million right now. We have designs in place on that station we're getting close on, and would like to apply for this grant to help with that project. Nick Cook is here. Chief Brooks is here. Can help answer any questions you might have on this one. But this is through the Kentucky Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Fund.
My opinion, go forth and Nick, do your magic, and let's go ahead and put in for this grant. So thank you.
A quick follow-up question. Do we have a timeline, just because there is so much growth that has gone in this year, when we think it's potentially?
We are targeting the spring of '24. Is that correct, Chief? Or do you want to correct me on that? For completion sometime?
Yeah, it's probably wishful thinking at this time. It's probably more like in the fall of '24. We started out in the spring of '24, but we're not there right now. So it'll be a little bit longer.
Well, it's so exciting, all the growth that's going on out there, and so I think this is really important for us to make sure our infrastructure to make sure that we continue to grow is there. So thank you for investing in that.
Thanks for the update. Okay, no further questions? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-72.
Municipal order authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management for the Kentucky Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funds in an amount up to $2,560,500 for the construction of tornado shelters.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
It's hard to say, but you know, sometimes bad things have to happen for good things to happen, and this is a case where the fact that we went through our December 11th catastrophe, it makes us eligible for FEMA grants and money now that we weren't otherwise eligible for. So this is one example of that. And I'd like to thank Ronnie Pearson again, for our Warren County Emergency Management Director, who helped us with this, kind of walked us through what we could do. But these are some FEMA grants, hazard mitigation grant funds that would total roughly $2.8 million for us to construct some tornado safe rooms around the city. Right now, the only ones that we have are out in the county at the county parks. What we are proposing is to build 2 at Preston Miller Park, 2 at Lovers Lane Soccer Park. The thought behind that was if there is large crowds at those 2 parks, whether it be at the swimming pool or soccer fields, and a storm brews up, there's a place to go. Baseball fields usually have dugouts that suffice, but along with that, we also thought we needed one over in on the west side somewhere, and we selected Pettigo Park since we own that land. So we're going to apply for 5. We found out the deadline was extended another week, so we were able to get these 5 in. This is a really good grant. It's 90% covered by FEMA, and then the remaining 10% is kind of a split between the city and state. You can see there in Nick's memo. And we think even the city's 5.2% could be covered with in-kind donation, such as the land that we're going to provide to put these on. So hopefully we're going to try to minimize the cost on these, but still at a 90% discount, we couldn't pass this up. But in your packets, you'll see some tentative locations we think we can put these on. I think they're 60 feet by 30, if I'm right, and you'll see on the maps where we think we could squeeze these in. And then this is kind of a picture of what one might look like from the outside. So, again, I'd like to thank Nick on this, along with Greg, Meredith, Brent Belcher, Brent Childers. We all kind of put our heads together. Katie was in on this too, and tried to determine where our best spots would be, and we think these will work on our city parks.
Mr. Meisel,
Yes, sir.
first, I think this is a great idea to have, but I would like to ask, how did the choosing of the parks happen? I do know that, I guess, Pettigo Park is closer to Shannon Way, or why not, I guess, Lambton Park as opposed to Pettigo Park, since we know that Jennings Creek had like the most, that's where individuals died at.
We thought Preston Miller Park is the water park, and that's fairly close to the Jennings Creek area. And then we thought Pettigo Park, there's a heavy density there of residential around there, Glenley Road, Old Morgantown Road, and that was a city-owned property, so we thought a good central location there. So that's kind of the Commissioner Beasley Brown also was. We talked, me and her, and thought Pettigo Park was another good location, since we own that land and could squeeze it in there. But this grant, I think, is due this week. So we can go for another one, but these are the 5 locations we thought would work best.
And I think it's a great idea. Hopefully,
And down the road, maybe we can do some more.
hopefully this is a floor I do think that we possibly need. Do we have anything for downtown, especially like where Magnolia, where they were hit in Nutwood?
We just couldn't find a good place on any other city property that we could fit these in, so, without it interfering with programming.
I appreciate everything that you guys have done, and hopefully this is a floor where we just a start, because we didn't have any. It's weird that I sent Greg Meredith a text either Wednesday night and was asking about it. When I saw that this was coming up, I feel like this is somewhere people could run to if they're in a trailer park, or if they don't have adequate housing that could sustain a storm that we had on December 11th. So again, Nick, you guys, Brent, hats off to you guys, because it's something that we needed in the city.
I would like to also thank you all so much. The night of our last storm warning, citizens were texting me pictures of the locations of the storm shelters, and they were all in the county. So I'm immediately texting city management saying, where are our city shelters? And we did not have any in the city limits, but they said, wait till next commission meeting. So this is the best news I've had in a long time. Thank you so much, everyone who participated in this. It's truly going to help our citizens, so thank you very much.
Good comments. Thank you very much for this work. Can be a better time whenever there's, alert, everyone is on pins and needles. Hopefully a storm will never repeat. Hopefully these will never have to be needed, but they're there. They will be there when needed, so great things to have. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-73.
Municipal order accepting the Intermodal Transportation Authority, Inc. fiscal year 2023 operating budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Meisel.
This is our annual approval of the ITA budget. This is per requirement of our interlocal agreement we have with the ITA. Commissioner Perigin and I serve on the ITA board, and this is another good budget proposed by the ITA. And Meredith Rosansky, their Chief Operating Officer, is here with us tonight and can answer any questions you might have. It's a pretty level budget compared to last year, and Meredith's here to answer any questions.
One, thank you. I wanted to take this opportunity to publicly thank you, Mr. Mayor, the commission, the city staff. The announcement last week could not have happened without your leadership and that of the county, and it is a true testament to the partnership that the two bodies have, and we really appreciate that. It's huge for our community, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. It was Project Orion. For a lot of us, we had no idea of what the company, and y'all kept that under wraps very well. And we're very proud of the work that the Chamber has accomplished on behalf of our entire community. You talked about a big fish for a long time, and when we were asked to put another $20 million with the county into the Trans Park, it was an easy pill to swallow because we had a lot of confidence in the team that has happened under you and Ron Bunch at the Chamber. So thank you.
One, I promised Ashley I would, like all great speakers, I'll be brief. As Mr. Meisel said, there's not big changes to the budget for the upcoming year. We are seeing the wage assessment to continue to rebound from COVID. The new wage assessment per our bond agreement with the new companies that are coming online in the new part of the park go directly to the city and the county, so those aren't reflected on our budget. We don't budget for land sales because we never know from year to year which transactions are going to close, so that is a conservative budget. We do have a negotiated 3% increase in the management fee from an expense side, and then the other big portion that you see in there is the continued spending on the new bond issue related to the expansion area of the park. And so you do have in front of you, for me, it's better to see a visual of what we're actually going to be working on. So I brought that up there, but I also brought my glasses because I'm getting old. So just to call your attention first to a few announcements in the current fiscal year. If you see where Bilstein Cold Roll Steel is in the middle of the map, just north of that, there are 4 little tiny lots. The top right-hand corner is B&R Electric, so that happened just at the end of last fiscal year. Over to the west, you'll see a red H next to Bilstein. That's Harbor Steel that announced this fiscal year. As did Tyson Foods, which you see in the bottom right-hand corner. Everyone is super excited about the fact that 100 million pounds of bacon is going to be made in Bowling Green every year. Can't wait for that one to be up and running. And then obviously Envision AESC is the large block over to the side. With the continued investment in the new bond issue, over the last 18 months, we have doubled the size of the Trans Park. And as you can see with all the gray, just about filled it up. Those items in green are the only remaining portions that we have. From an infrastructure standpoint, if you follow Bilstein just north where you see Crown, Cork, and Seal, that road just to the right of that, and then going on down to Envision AESC is Production Avenue. So that road is still under construction. We had it put in for ball and extended the utilities, and we're continuing to extend that down. We also have, you'll see between lots 37 and 38, there's going to be a new connection out to 6880 from what used to be Fred Madison Road. So that will be a great relief to the traffic in the park, and also from a safety standpoint, being able to get people out in the event that there's some sort of incident on one of the roads. You never know if a tractor trailer is going to overturn or something. We wanted ingress and egress. So those projects will be the ones that we'll be working to wrap up along with those utility infrastructures in the current fiscal year. As it relates to Envision AESC, there's significant state investment in infrastructure in the park, and I did want to point that out. Up towards the top of the map, you'll see 31W, you'll see the I-65 connector road, and just to the right of that is Mizpah Road. Currently, the Kentucky Department of Transportation is widening 31W. You've probably been out there and seen the widening ongoing all the way from the intersection of 6880 to Mizpah Road. What the state is now going to do is continue that widening from Mizpah Road to Freeport Road. So that's the road that you see on the far right side of the map. And then widen Freeport Road all the way down to serve AESC. So there's an additional ingress, egress to the park. So that's a $14.7 million investment being made by the state on our behalf, which is great. And then additionally, to serve current and future water and sewer needs, the state is putting in $46 million to extend a 12-inch water pipe and a 12-inch sewer pipe all the way back to the BGMU plant, all the way back out to the Trans Park. So we'll have 2 of each running to the Trans Park, which we say will serve us well into the future, but the way things are going, who knows? But that is a huge investment by them to help match the investments that you guys are making and afford us to continue to grow going into the future. But I'm happy to take any specific questions that you have on current or future plans.
Really just going to make a comment how enjoyable it is to serve on this board alongside Jeff. And I want to point out Gary Dillard over there is the chairperson and has been during my entire tenure. And alongside of, we can talk all day about Ron Bunch, but I really think it's Meredith that's, I hope he's watching, and Gary that are the backbones. But what a great day for Bowling Green, Kentucky to be able to land a project like this, and the Tyson project, and every project on this map right here. The vision was incredible, and I lived here when General Motors came here, and it made everything changed. Yeah. And I think that this is the type of change, the catalyst that's going to make everything change again. So it's a great pleasure to work alongside you all and be able to see these things from the back of the house sort of thing come around. So thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. Good.
I was going to make a comment as well. I'm born and raised here in Bowling Green, and I also remember, even though I was probably like 4 years old when General Motors came here. I apologize, Sue. But it is amazing. I think that what you guys have done just to bring the battery, plant here, and just to make sure that we're moving towards the future, those are future jobs. That's a $2 billion industry, and kind of like what Commissioner Perigin said, it's going to change our economy. It's going to bring more money that's into this economy all around our city. So thanks for bringing in Tyson. We just got done with the pandemic, and it's amazing that Bowling Green is booming at this time. And I want to just thank everybody that was involved, thank the mayor for being there and representing us as the commission, and thank you guys, Ron Bunch, our city manager, everybody that's able to bring these industries in, especially during this time.
I think it's, again, that goes back to the testament of the fact that during this time when a lot of communities were scared and they were worried about their budgets and everything, you guys came together along with fiscal court and said, no, we're going to invest because we know we're going to come out of this and we want to come out bigger, better, and it's paying off in dividends. So thank you.
Right. Great comments. Thank you, Meredith. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. Municipal Order Number 2022-74.
Municipal order approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a vehicle leasing agreement with the Bowling Green Firefighters Association for the lease of a 2022 red Chevrolet Corvette Coupe in the amount of $1.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. I'm going to look over to the chief. You want to explain this, chief?
I do. Mayor, Board of Commissioners, it's the Corvette. It's torch red, it's sharp, and it's about time. As Commissioner Perigin said, I remember when the GM plant come here. Well, it's been in our back door. We've been serving them for a while, and we're glad to be in this partnership, working with them. The mission of our fire department is to serve, save, and protect. Make it better. It's our brand. It pushes us towards tomorrow, towards something better. This resource will do just that. You see, this vision was a long time ago from our association, from our members, from our firefighters, and they had this vision, and to see it come to fruition like it is today, it's a special day. It's a great day, and I would ask that our Bowling Green Firefighters Association President, Captain Chris Durbin, come up and give you the plan of how we're going to take this resource, and we're going to go make it better.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you all. This all started kind of as a pipe dream. We never really thought it would come to fruition. Believe it or not, we were able to secure a Corvette allocation from Criswell Chevrolet in Maryland. So this car was bought out of Maryland. We partnered with Team Construction, the Mingus family. They partnered with us, gave us a 0% loan to purchase the car. The car was purchased by the Bowling Green Firefighters Association. The plan is to use it as the department to use it for prevention classes, parades, any special events. I'm sure we can arrange test drives for some different members within the city. The goal is to put the spotlight back on Bowling Green. They've been making Corvettes here for 30 years. Why shouldn't we get a part of that? We have the Corvette emblem on our logo at the fire department. It's just a great opportunity to partner with them and kind of shine the spotlight back on Bowling Green. The plan right now is to raffle the car off at the Fireman's Ball on November 19th. We're in the process of working through that. Like I said, it was a pipe dream to get the Corvette. Now it's in our lap, so we're scrambling to try to play catch up. But we are putting a plan together for that. Once we move on with the car, the proceeds will go to the Bowling Green Firefighters Association's community efforts after we pay back our loan. You guys are familiar with some of it. Shop with a Firefighter. Last year, we served over 50 kids. We spent roughly $12,000 to $13,000 on that effort. We do Thanksgiving baskets, 75 families. We partner with to give them an opportunity to provide a Thanksgiving meal for their families. We do scholarships for some of our members' children for college scholarships, and we're currently looking for more opportunities to give back. The community has blessed us. We've been very successful in recent years with our ball, and we really find ourselves in a great opportunity, a great position where we have money and we have to find out where to spend it. And we see this as another opportunity for growth. We do have allocations lined up moving forward. We would like to make this an annual thing. Luckily, the next allocation is coming a little closer. We're in Tennessee, but we're working to hopefully make it all happen in this community. But if you guys have ever noticed that car is a nationwide brand, and you can't just go pick one up. So we had to work pretty hard to find one. So. You guys have any questions?
Tell them about the VIN, Captain.
We did get lucky, and it's one of those things. It's all in who you know. The final numbers of the VIN actually are 911. So if you look at the VIN, and we have the car on display at the station now, it's a waiting decal, so it's not quite done and ready for parades. But it was moved up and back a few days in production to make sure that we got that VIN number. So. And we have some other donations lined up to put some custom wheels, custom engine cover. It will be a one-off, one-of-a-kind custom Corvette that's deeply tied to this community.
Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work
great.
y'all do for the community, and it's what a milestone to get there, so congrats.
And likewise as well, especially giving back. That's something huge. I know we appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
All right, roll call.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Municipal order number 2022-75.
Municipal order approving and authorizing out-of-town travel expenses for City Manager Jeff Meisel to attend the Kentucky City County Management Association and Spalding University Local Government Summit in Louisville, Kentucky.
So move.
Second?
By Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Thank you all for allowing me to attend this. It was a really good day and a half. I got to meet some really great people, including former Mayor of Louisville, Jerry Abramson, and Lieutenant Governor, along with some key people here on the agenda and some really good sessions that Katie and I attended. Appreciate you all letting us get away for a day and a half and get some training. I've had some downtown stuff in here, economic development, a little bit of everything, and got to interact and network with other city managers. So really appreciate it.
Mr. Mauzo, it's always important to keep the sword sharp, so appreciate you doing that. Roll call? All right, roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2022-15, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance renaming street. Ordinance approving the renaming of a portion of Shive Lane to Ken Bell Boulevard.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. This is our first reading. Mr. Meisel.
Public Works was requested to make this street name change. Basically, you're going from the roundabout on Shive Lane, the existing roundabout, changing that from Kenbale and Shive Lane, it turns into Middlebridge. So Shive Lane up to Middlebridge will become Kenbale Boulevard. And then once we cross over Middlebridge with the new road, that will also continue to be Kenbale Boulevard. I hope I explained that right, Greg. And we have in your packets all of the required exhibits and approvals, and just need your all's approval to make this change. And Greg is here, can answer any questions.
Questions? None? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2022-16.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 4, Alcoholic Beverage Control of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances to create a new subchapter establishing an entertainment destination center.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
So we think we have everything ready to go for the entertainment district, also called the, I need to learn this. Help me, Ashley.
Oh.
Destination Center. Entertainment Destination Center. In your ordinance is the boundaries of the area that we discussed and you all agreed upon, and some basic rules and outline of the district. We didn't go into any detail about hours or days, but this is just the basics that Hillary will submit to the state ABC once the second reading is behind us. And then, Hillary, you want to explain the 30-day wait and again how that's going to work?
Right. They will come down and do an inspection with our boundaries, walk it once we've applied, and there will be a 30-day, they have 30 days to approve it, and then we should hear from the state. And then we can activate it once the license is issued when we are ready. So I know that Talia's working on a list of rules. We'll have a map. We'll have all of that information to provide, because this is just the basics to citizens, to downtown businesses, so cups, all of that stuff.
Sorry, but I'm a visual person. I'm thinking, and I apologize for missing the last meeting, this might have been discussed. I'm envisioning that first map we received way back when we first discussed this. Is it that entire map?
I thought we took a couple of things out.
See, that's what,
The
I'm
map
not
that
good
has
with
been
just-
presented to this body at the previous work sessions. We have not altered the map. So the description in the ordinance is that map.
big.
So it
It's-
starts at the corner of 6th and Chestnut, comes up Chestnut to 11th, takes a right on 11th. I'm doing this off of memory, so.
Okay, but it is that original
That
big
kind of
map.
stair step, yeah, several
Okay.
blocks.
I have
That's
another
correct.
question.
Go ahead.
If we approve this tonight, we send it to the state, are we bound by these boundaries? Do we have to keep it the way it is? Or can we go back and say, oh, this is what we presented, but we'd really like it just this area?
We'd have to amend the ordinance.
Amend the
But we
ordinance,
can
right.
do
Yes.
that.
Yes, we can, just like any ordinance, it would just take 2 readings again.
This
So
is
we
just
could
the
make
first
it-
reading.
We could
Right.
make it smaller or larger.
Correct.
Whatever. Okay.
Correct.
And I do have one from listening to the business owners before, some of them wanted to participate, some of them didn't. Can we do it, even if we kept it that area, can we just allow, say, the restaurants? I think Mellow Mushroom's one that's far down. They wanted to participate, but others did not. How
Right, it's
does-
up to the business. The business is not required to participate.
All right,
And
okay.
so we're still working on that, but I think the idea is there would be a sticker or something on participating businesses, and so that patrons would know. And then in the map too, it will have the participating businesses. And if a restaurant or bar chooses not to participate, they just don't buy the cups, and they don't allow patrons to leave with alcohol.
And that is their choice, and that's always been the case. Whenever we had the stakeholder conversations, that was relayed to the business owners at that time. If you don't want to participate, that is perfectly fine. You don't have to participate.
Hillary, let me ask you this. I do think that it's a good thing to have it, and I do think that it will bring more commerce in time. I'm not opposed like the crawl before we walk, if we limit it and then come back and revise it and crawl, but can we also, I know some of the business owners were concerned about the crime. I don't think that we need to be Big Brother, to have any type of camera, but later on, possibly all of us will talk about it, but possibly have the business owners as a requirement to have at least the business owners to have a camera that's facing down at the street. And if the police they can try to access it like our normal ways and stuff. So we don't have to take care of it. The city's not looking at it, and that could be something that can help out the police if they're not in that area. And later on, they could try to catch any type of assailant if something happens. Is that something that we can look at as well?
Sure, that's something we can talk about.
Okay. But I'm not opposed if we limit. I do realize that Mellow Mushroom is farther away, but I also think that it will bring commerce later on. I think crawl before your walk is not bad, but expand in time.
Can I just ask another question? Definitely, I think we've done our due diligence to try and create this. Let's start here. Let's learn by at least dipping our toe into this experience of having an entertainment destination area. Is it area? I can't either remember what it's center. There we go. EDZ. But I just wanted to ask, because we had talked about so many things that we talked about in terms of what we feel like Bowling Green downtown needs to make this successful and keep it a family-friendly place where everyone can enjoy downtown and it not become something that we didn't intend to. So when can we expect, this is just the boundaries and the liquor license part for this to come in place, when can we expect maybe the plan in terms of how we're going to increase the supports downtown, whether that be additional bathrooms or we talked about how Owensboro has the staffing to make sure things are kept up with, trash, and then the increased police support. So are we going to have that portion of this plan presented to us before it goes live, or what's the kind of the baby steps up until it happens, the next 30 days?
Okay. Once we get the license back from the state, between now and then, staff will continue to do planning. Talia is hard at work with a lot of things downtown. Public Works, Parks and Rec, we will all be meeting and making plans on trash and all the logistics of operating in this district. And we'll also be putting out a parking map here very, very soon about where you can park for free and all the surface lots. And so all the logistics will automatically happen in the next several weeks and months before this thing goes live, and we'll have everything ready to go. And before we turn on the green light and we go after this thing. So I just ask that you give us some time to work all those logistics out with staff and employees and the scheduling and all that. But I think it'll all come together and we'll be fine.
And when do we think it's all going to come together?
Well, we're looking at second reading will be the May 1st. What date is that? May 3rd?
May 3rd.
May 3rd would be the second reading. May 4th, Hillary could send it off to Frankfurt for state ABC approval. We're looking at 30 days after that, so you're looking at June 4th at the earliest. I don't foresee them. Sometimes they're slow with things. No bad intentions against the state, but for us to get that back on day 31, I don't see that happening. So we're probably looking at mid-June. And hopefully by late June, early July, we might could have things going. That's my stab in the dark of how this thing's going to work out.
And just, because this is something new we're trying, to feel good about my yes vote, it would be really helpful for me to get sort of, everything that we're going to have in place before we go live, maybe just a work session to just run us through the details with us in the community to know how it's going to work and what the game plan is would be great.
Hillary and Mr. Meisel, may I ask, I guess, I still think that those cameras are gonna help out the police. And, you know, you've been a former prosecutor, it can possibly come and help out with the limited numbers, but will we at least have a number of police that will patrol it, before we're gonna go live, that's gonna be committed to that area and for whatever time period that we're gonna have?
I think that the plan is to have the downtown, the police that already cover downtown, plus put some additional, whether it's people on foot, on bikes. I do think that they intend, as long as they have the manpower, to put some extra people downtown.
You think-
Especially in the beginning, you know, when we haven't experienced this before and see how it goes. But I think that that's Chief Delaney's intent, is to try to have extra people on patrol. And part of our job as the license holder is to make sure that we monitor the entrances and exits. And so that will be by police, both patrol, whether it's in cars or bikes or on foot. So, and I think he sees it as an opportunity to do some community building as well, having people downtown, you know, for things like concerts in the park. And so I think that's the plan.
Well, okay, go ahead, Sue.
It's exciting.
So this process has not been an overnight process. It's been a lengthy, you know, from January of 2020, when we first had our strategic meeting and how we put this in place, and then going out to the community, hiring a community coordinator, Talia, you know, coming up with a plan, listening to the community, the pros and the cons. You know, what I've stated before is that the community, regardless of where you fall on this stance, is that you have a partner. And this is not, it's still forming. You know, we're working together as a community to build an EDC that's going to be successful. And the success is going to be given back into our community in the downtown and our businesses that are there. And so whether you think about the time or whether you think it's needed or not, the goal is to bring in new customers, to bring in new commerce, and to give Bowling Green a destiny spot that will help out our commerce in our community. And that's what it's about. So in the end, it has my yes vote, and I believe that this is something that will have issues that we'll work through. But it's not going to be done overnight, and it wasn't. And we're proving that, and we're doing work the hard way, and that's working with the community to bring success to our community. Other comments, questions?
Just one more clarification. This only covers publicly owned space, which would be sidewalks and the parks. So I know we have a lot of downtown surface parking lots that are privately owned. Those are not included in this. So I want to make that clear that people carrying a drink around, they would be required to stay on the sidewalk or stay inside the park and the designated areas. Just want to make that known. When you look at the map, it looks like a monster area, but when you start carving out private property and exactly where these are, you're basically looking at sidewalks and parks that the city owns. That's what we're getting a license for, the entertainment destination center.
Thank you. Great. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2022-17, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance annexing property by consent. Ordinance annexing 1.561 acres of property located at 1597 and 1609 Glasgow Road, presently owned by Margie Duval, with said territory being contiguous to existing city limits.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Meisel.
Mrs. Duval approached us requesting to be, some of her property, 1.5 acres, to be annexed. It's two parcels up on 6880 Glasgow Road, 1597 and 1609 Glasgow Road. This is a voluntary annexation and just need your approval.
Questions? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2022-12, it's our second reading and is binding.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 5, Animals of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances.
Moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. I believe there was addition to
Mayor,
this.
I'd like to ask Hillary just to hit a few of the tweaks that we made from the first reading, if you don't mind. They're minor, but
They are very minor. I know you all received an email that had some concerns about the amendments we were making to Chapter 5. The first thing I want to address is that one of the concerns was about our Code Enforcement Board. We eliminated the ability of the Code Enforcement Board to waive uncontested fines. And in practice, that doesn't happen anyway because the Code Enforcement Board doesn't see an uncontested fine. They only take up contested cases. However, the KRS basically says if it's uncontested, it's final. If it's not appealed within that time limit, it's final. So our board does not have the authority to waive an uncontested fine. So it doesn't really change anything. If the person wants to address the fine, they need to file an appeal, and then the board can waive it. Or if there's a fine that we think is maybe too high, or the person is now in compliance, we have the option to take it to the board and request that it be waived if it's in that time frame. But that was one of the concerns that you all got in your email, and that is to address what the KRS requires. We did add without permission to trespassing. To me, trespassing means without permission, but that way, if, for example, I take my dog to my neighbor's and it's running without a leash, that is legal. We're not making that illegal. And then we added when off of private property. We wanted to make clear that the running at large, and the title says running at large in public, but that's the issue, that they have to be restrained and under the control of a responsible person when they're on public property, not on someone else's property. So minor tweaks based upon that email, but those changes have been made.
Hillary, let me ask you, the statute's asking, I guess, for the new ordinance is asking for like a leash for almost all animals. How is it possible or even feasible for having a leash for all animals? I've never had a cat, or any other animals, but I'm wondering how that would be even feasible.
Well, my answer to that would be that all of our ordinances are governed by common sense. So I've never seen a cat on a leash. I've never seen anyone be cited for having a cat not on a leash. I can't imagine our animal control officers citing someone for having a cat that's not on a leash. Now, if someone has a cat that is running around and is not spayed or neutered and is mating and having all kinds of kittens that are then trespassing on other people's, then I think that would apply differently. It could apply in the nuisance section or under trespassing. But as far as a cat being on a leash, I just think, I think that's a question, I guess, that is, we're not legislating against absurd questions, or else our book would be huge. It's just common sense. No one's going to cite someone for having a cat not on a leash.
But, and I understand that, but the way that the ordinance is drafted, they could do it though, right? Because it has all animals. And I understand the point that you're making, but the way that the ordinance is drafted, it looks like that all animals, and they could be cited.
Well, I mean, I think any law is like that. I think you could find absurd results in any law, but that's not what the ordinance is intended, and that's not how it's practiced. Now, if in 6 months we realize, oh, this is a mistake, we need to give an exception for cats, I guess we can come back. But in my whole life, I've never seen a cat on a leash and never heard of someone being cited for that. So I think the ordinance, if you use common sense, it's clear that it's intended to be applied to
But they could
dogs.
take it on its face. And what, even like you said, I've never seen it, and you're saying that common sense will happen, and there are exceptions to the law, and we both see that. Should we add exceptions in here to this ordinance for like some animals?
I don't I don't think so. I don't think we need to add.
Part of this is also responsibility of the owner. And so instead of defining which animals that they're responsible for, we're saying that they're responsible for all the animals, whether it be a cat, a dog, a horse, a pig, a cow, it doesn't matter. They're still responsible for their animal. And so it's about defining the responsibility of the owner as the party, no matter what it is. They're still responsible for the cat. If they don't put the cat on the leash, that's fine. I don't put my goldfish on a leash either, but I'm still responsible for it, right? I still have to take care of the little fella because my son doesn't ever feed him. And so these are the things that the ordinance is trying to address, is setting that responsibility of the owner, not about trying to define when in these specific circumstances it applies and it doesn't apply, because there's so much gray to everything that they do and they encounter. And most of the time, they just talk to people. That's the reality of how you do this, is you have conversations with people and you talk to them and say, hey, did you know this? Let me talk to you about that. It's not really a tool for enforcement. It's there for those that don't want to listen to the conversations that they have before them. And so it's really more about defining that out.
You talk about the responsibility of the owner. Is one of the tweaks to the ordinance that you have, because the prior ordinance, basically, if a animal came onto someone's property, they're responsible, correct? They would be responsible for it.
Oh, that's not correct.
So they would not be responsible for it at all.
You mean if an animal came onto my property, would
Yeah,
I
and
be?
you're not only that that they came onto your property, but you're feeding that animal, like a stray cat or a stray animal that's coming on from time to time. Would they be responsible for it?
I don't think a person would be responsible for feeding a stray cat. I think we have a separate program that addresses the stray cats.
I'd like to speak to our code enforcement officers that are here. One, thank you for the work that you accomplish, and I know you don't get thank yous from many in the community for the work that you do. I know the county is contemplating a lot of the things that we do successfully within the city. Obviously, we have a higher density of people that live amongst each other, and we have to respect each other's space, and our animals are part of that responsibility. What I'm empowering you with is that you're like our police officers. You have judgment, you have wisdom, you have knowledge, you have that common sense. And so when we implement ordinances, to us, it may look black and white, but there's a lot of nuances that we can't tell you how to do your job well. So you're also the face of the community. You are out there representing the community, representing the city. And so I just say thank you for that. But with that common sense, with that wisdom, comes leadership. And so make good decisions. You know, there's statements that you can't make waivers, that you can't make judgment calls. I don't think that's what we're stating here when we're implementing policy changes for ordinances. What we are stating is that we empower you as officers to make those decisions on your feet for our citizens on behalf of our city. So I just give you that. Can't really write that, but I'm empowering you with that as the mayor. So, or as my vote up here as the mayor.
And I wasn't done, and I apologize, but it said right here, and I guess you guys did take it out. You guys basically had the owner shall mean any person carrying, keeping, or harboring an animal. So the harboring, by definition, if you look at it, could be like a dog or a cat that comes back to your premises.
Well, it says having a right of property in the animal or a person who keeps or harbors a dog. So, again.
It says animal right here, but you guys took it out.
I think it's covered in KRS, if you look at the Kentucky statute, harbor, what the definition of harboring is.
Which one are you looking at, the KRS? Which,
KRS is state law, it's not in.
I'm talking about which statute?
It's in the definitions of KRS.
Right. We took this straight from the KRS.
It should, our city should match what it also says in state law.
Yeah, I understand that, but what it's saying that if you're reading this, and I got to look at the definition because I don't have it in front of me, and you don't have the statute for me to read it. But if I'm reading this on face value, the owner.
You are correct that we have.
Thank you.
We have had, but what Hillary's trying to say.
Sorry.
program was
It's
enacted.
TNR.
Is that the one that was enacted in 2018?
Yes, it's TNR. Right.
They had a sunset provision in it, correct?
What, we re-upped it, Carlos.
We did?
Yes.
Okay.
It's trap, neuter, release, and it has been a tremendous program, tremendous. Like, they are almost to a no-kill shelter because of that TNR program, which has been just an amazing program, amazing. So,
But that was the issue and why that was laxed and why cats were kind of drawn out of that ordinance and how it was written.
Appreciate it.
So we've had to go back and kind of make those changes because of that program.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? All right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Beasley Brown?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number VG 2022-13, second readings binding.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances to increase salary for commissioners.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. This was a 2-2 vote. Unless there's any further discussions or questions at this time.
Since I missed the last meeting, I would like to say, first of all, Mayor, thank you for bringing this and putting it on the agenda. And I appreciate the commission, beginning of the year, voting and approving our starting hourly wage for our full-time employees was $15. And so if you calculate that, that's what has been proposed for the commissioners. I want to remind our citizens, it only goes into effect for commissioners that are elected and take office in 2023. And those people who are elected are not required to accept this salary. They can choose to donate it. They can choose to take the old salary. It's up to them, but they do have that opportunity. It's always baffled me that magistrates have made so much more money than city commissioners. And if you watch the news, it seems like city commissioners are always the ones getting beaten up. And magistrates can do whatever and it flies under the radar. So thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
What else?
And my vote is still going to be a no. And I appreciate the offer, but it's a 41% increase. My only thing is that we're doing it at a time that we're still looking at for our first responders to try to have the pay. My brother-in-law used to be like, man, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And he was basically talking about so many things. Now, had we had like the first responders or the police and we got that taken care of, I would be a yes today. And Commissioner Hill's correct. She's correct about like us raising the pay for the city employees, the $15, which should be a floor. It shouldn't be something that we should stop at, but it should be a floor. The city commission, we are working and we do have jobs and we are constantly doing different things throughout the week. But one of the things that I didn't sign up for is basically to get paid extra money because I understand that what other people are going through and I want to make sure that our first responders are getting the pay that they need. We were just talking about like the EDC, and we were talking about before the work session that we don't have enough police officers to basically patrol that EDC. I want to make sure that we're going to be bringing in those police officers and they're going to get paid, and those first responders are going to get paid adequate wages to make sure that they're going to want to stay here as opposed to leaving our city. So that's the only reason why I'm voting no today. But I do appreciate the mayor for him offering it because Commissioner Hill's correct. We take a lot of heat and we work a lot, more than you guys know. And if we have a second job, a lot of people don't even realize when they're texting us, we're probably doing something else at the same time.
Pretty much said my comments last time. I believe this is for the future commissioners. If it doesn't happen at this date, it can't happen until the next commissioners are elected, and they can't even implement it till the next commissioners take seat. I do believe what you're stating, Carlos. I feel inordinate sense of responsibility to ensure the right size pay for all of our city employees across the board. Our first responders, I know our police are very short-handed, and we committed as the Strategic Council in January that we would do that, and I will be held accountable for this vote and for that work, and I believe we're all accountable for that. So I just state I appreciate, the stance, but I still believe it's the right thing to do.
I want to again thank the mayor. I was on the task force back in, does anybody remember what, 2005? I can't tell you how many tens of hours that we spent on that, and the recommendation was indeed that our city commissioners were grossly underpaid at that point, and that's 2005, so that's 17 years ago. I think that if the last time this has been looked at seriously was in the 90s, correct? 1990-something, a long time. So I've been doing this job. This is my 4th term, and for a long time, and it wasn't about the pay. Never had anything to do about the pay. It has to do with the ability to recruit folks to want to step up and do this job. We're losing some really good people that used to be on the city commission and a mayor to the county over here, because it's a thing, and folks notice that. And so I want to thank the mayor, and I agree wholeheartedly with Melinda. And we committed as a 5-person team in January at our retreat. We committed resources that were necessary to right size any pay discrepancies, beginning with our public safety. And I think there's been a lot of meetings with police and fire, and that's going to happen. It doesn't happen in a day or a night, but it is happening between the senior staff, us, and our chiefs. So I want to say again, appreciate it. I think it's the right thing to do.
I also just want to thank the mayor for offering this raise for the commissioners. I just, within good conscience, can't vote to raise the Board of Commissioners raises without being able to look at our budget and seeing how that's going to affect the ability for us to raise our employees first. Because I think for me, I have to take care of our people before we take care of the board. And just on principle, I can't, this is a no vote for me today. The second thing is, if we voted to approve this today, then in January 2023, commissioners will make almost twice as much as the mayor for 2 years until 2025. And that also doesn't not seem right to me. So for me to be comfortable with voting to raise future commissioners' wages, I would feel much better about being able to vote this summer when we are able to look at the full budget, look and see what are we able to do for our first responders and for all of our employees that are needing raises. And then if we vote raises in at that time, then they would all go in effect at 2025, and we'd be able to raise the mayors as well, so that they are all right-sized together and not be flip-flopped in that way. So I'm grateful for the mayor for bringing this forward. For me, I can't do that without looking at the full budget and knowing what we are going to be able to do for our employees before voting to raise commissioners' raises.
I will just respond to that real quick. If this doesn't go in effect, this is the last time this elected board, as the 5 of us, will be able to allowed to raise a commissioner's rate. The mayor's rate could be raised, but it wouldn't go in effect till 2024. But as the 5 of us sitting here, and am I right, Ashley?
For 2023, we could vote to raise it for 2025, all of us together at the same time.
We can't. Only the next elected officials, only the next commission can raise for the 2025.
No, you just can't raise your own.
It's state law. It has to be done by May, before the primary.
Right.
So the
we
next
cannot raise it for 2023, but we can raise it for 2025.
No, we can't. Not the next elected of 5 officials can do that, but not the 5 sitting here as elected today.
I guess the city attorney would have to let us know which one it is.
I would have to go back and look at it. I know it has to be voted on before the first Monday in May before the election. Has to be voted on by then. Now, I think, for example, you could have voted now to raise the mayors as well. But that's before the next mayor would take office. So I think the way, I would need to look at it again, but I think the way that reads, it would have to be done before the first Monday in May, before the next primary.
So just to clarify, is this not before that election as well?
It is, but whether it's,
It has to be the sitting Board of Commissioners at that time before May 1st of that year before the new term.
that's the end date. I don't know that you couldn't vote on it right now as long as, and it take effect later. I would have to read it.
Because the whole
again.
point is you can't raise your own salary. That's the
Right.
point of that law. It's not
Right.
not to prevent current commissioners from being able to do it for future. It's just you can't raise your own. It has to be for future. So if we did it this summer after looking at the full budget, we could then, when I read it, raise them all together at 2025. So it's not upside down like that for 2 years.
I don't think you can commit a future Board of Commissioners that far out in advance.
That's what I understood. I'll still
So-
state what I stated. I verified this. Okay, no further comments. Roll call, please.
Bailey?
No.
Beasley Brown?
No.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Alcott?
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2022-14, second reading is binding.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances related to work sessions.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. This was also a 2-2 vote at the last. Is there any new discussion or questions this time?
Mayor, I would just like to repeat my comment.
Okay?
I believe that this proposal decreases transparency in decision-making and hinders the opportunity for citizens to participate in local government, and that is why I'm a no vote on this proposal.
Once again, Mayor, since I was not here at last meeting, been looking at this. As our citizens know, 3's the magic number. I have a hard time asking our staff to commit hours of work, maybe weeks, months of work, and that there is not a majority of the commission that's going to support that. That is my biggest concern, is that we'll have them do something, spend lots of time, and there's not enough support on the commission for it to go forward, and they've wasted all that time. So 3's the magic number.
Also, people think I, as the mayor, have the power to tell the city to do anything I want. This ensures, and I didn't have that power before, I don't think I ever had that power, and I want to ensure that that power does not exist. I'm very much believe this is the way it should be done, and it has always been done. This just clarifies it to ensure that one person, a rogue commissioner or a rogue mayor, cannot dictate to the city their agenda. That is my job, to work with the city commissioners and to get their political will on board with something that I agree with or something that I think our city should accomplish. And so if I'm going to put an inordinate amount of work onto our city staff, I think it's critical that we have buy-in and the political power to work with each other amongst commissioners.
Just to clarify from those comments, a work session doesn't have to be staffed or use any staff time, right? It could be a topic that has been brought to a commissioner that's really important, that they have been able to bring someone in to just give a brief overview of opportunity, right? That's it. Just the work session it means that we're going to learn about something in public together. We can discuss it before we vote on it. And this is preventing even two commissioners coming together and saying, we think that there's a really important topic that we have someone we can learn from, and we want to do that in public where the community can also be a part of how we're learning about it, and we can be held accountable about what we've done with the information that we now know. And I think removing that ability for two commissioners to be able to discuss something so that we can learn about it together before we vote on it. It does make us less transparent and hinders our ability to work together and move forward effectively.
Well, again, I've been around the block for a day or two here, and this to me is a clarification of what has already been in place for all the years that I've been on this board. Melinda can speak to that as well, but that is how it's worked all along, and in our ordinance it says the Board of Commissioners. I don't think that means one of us. I think that the magic number of 3 is what you want. You know, you want to work with each other, and if that takes you lobbying us or me lobbying you all for a topic, well, you know, to bring forward. If there's no votes, there's no need in spending everybody's time. Individual commissioners can add any agenda item they want to the agenda. Am I correct there, Ashley? We can add anything we want to the agenda, and then it can be a discussion amongst us. That's not a problem. This is where you're creating staff resources, committing them to things that definitely take time. You know, it's not a simple matter. If the 3 of us didn't at the retreat decide that, if 3, a minimum, but all 5 of us did, clarification, decide that we wanted to move forward with an entertainment district, what would be the point of going through what we've gone through for the last 3 meetings? It would make no sense, because it's not going to happen, because there is not the political will to do it. So again, I look at this as a clarification of what has been in place since I've been a city commissioner.
I have to agree with Dana. Sometimes these work sessions are educational sessions, and sometimes by opening it up to the public, it could be like, even if it's brought by 1, 2 individuals, sometimes listening to the public and listening to the work session, that may actually convince a third to put it on to the agenda and vote on it and approve it. That work session is not there just to approve the agenda. It's basically to be transparent, to bring new ideas, and to see if the public wants this to push it forward, because it can die at that work session. So transparency is key. It's basically representing you guys to make sure we're being a better government for our entire community here in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Again, Carlos, any one of us can put any item on the agenda, and anybody from the public is welcome to sign up and give public comments. Anybody from the public is welcome to call. I get lots of calls, emails, texts, all kinds of communications on things. And, so it's not stifling that at all. It's just continuing the way that we've operated over the last 7+ years that I have been involved here.
And again, the work session is just for educational purposes for you guys.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
No.
Beasley Brown?
No.
Hill?
Yes.
Perigin? Alcott?
Yes. All right. I'm sorry, what? Can we take a 5-minute break, Mr. Meisel, and then we'll come back for the work session? Mr. Childers, you're going to lead us in some e-bike discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here. I'm going to try to keep my comments brief. Talk to you about a potential partnership that we've been working on for the last several years between the city and WKU, and we're now ready to bring it forward to you. And really the goal for tonight is to not work through every nuance and detail of this, but it's really to just talk about the concept of what we're proposing. And because we know if we don't have support on the concept of this, then there's no reason to really spend the due diligence developing all the details on the back end. The importance of timing is that what we're talking about here, we'd like to see launch in August of this year, so we need these months between to get everything going. So what we're talking about is e-bikes. And really, I'll run through these very quickly. It's another form of multimodal transportation. So we have car, we have bus, we have sidewalk, but now this other form of bike share. And you're going to hear me use that term quite a bit. But it's also about connecting campus and downtown and looking at these two areas and how we are neighbors with the university between downtown and campus, and how do we create opportunities for commerce between the two, reduce vehicle trips, public transit, and then obviously reduce transportation costs. So let's get into what it really looks like. And this is a shared service, and what we'd be talking about, and refer the commission to the email that I'd sent last week, giving you a little bit of heads up on this, is a company called Wheels. And Wheels specializes in e-bike sharing. And so what it is a user would download an app, would then locate a device or an e-bike, and then unlock it. And they'd scan a code on it, unlock it. They are charged to unlock it, and then they are charged to use it per minute. So it's for short trips. This really isn't intended to be this long-term riding from here to a long distance away. It's really for these short commuter trips in and around the downtown and campus area. So this is actually an example of what a user would see after they download the app, created their profile, put their credit card information in. And remember, this is the user is paying Wheels to access the e-bike. And so then this is an e-bike. This is what they look like. E-bike in the sense of it is an electric bike. So it is, you do sit on it. This is not a scooter. This is an e-bike. You have foot pedals, you have hand brakes, front and rear. It rides just like a bicycle. About a month ago, we had a demonstration where the company brought one in, and we met with Western and the person with the company, and we rode these around up at our office on top of the hill. Luckily it was great weather. It wasn't one of those cold days, but it was a lot of fun to just kind of jump on it, and it took you back to just riding a bike just like you did whenever you were a kid. I haven't ridden a bike in several years till I jumped on this and took it off up the hill and rode it around. And so this is what we're talking about. It is an electronic bike that people can rent and would be able to rent and would be able to use. And so you say, okay, now what does this really mean in the larger sense? And so the other part of this on the due diligence side is really defining what that means. Where can they go? Where do they have to be parked? So all these are GPS located, so they know exactly where it's at. And so you can define, you can't go outside of this area. So you can draw a circle on a map, draw a polygon on a map. You can say you can't leave this zone. You can say you can't go above this speed in this area. You can say you can't ride this in this area. And you can say these have to be parked in these designated areas. So we've talked to the company about, and this is something we've talked about for a couple of years, about what are some of the places that we know of. Well, whenever we did the downtown square phase 1, we built bike lanes, we built bike parking areas. So those would be defined as parking areas. We've got some other amenities around downtown where the city would say this is where these could be parked, just like WKU would have to define on their campus where these would be eligible to be parked. If people don't park there, keep in mind, the company has their credit card information, they have their account, they know exactly who used it, they know where it was, they know where it went, and so then they can flag them, they can notify them, they can ban them, they can fine them. They have other tools at their disposal.
We can set times. There's a lot of variables to this, and I don't want to spend tonight going through the 10,000 different variables this could be, but it's really about the concept of a partnership between WKU and the city to allow students and citizens the opportunity to rent a bike and ride the bike in and around this area. The focus and the concentration would be in this downtown area and the core campus. We're still looking at ways to expand some of that as campus has expanded over the years to include South Campus and some of the other tertiary parts of WKU's domain. And so how do we do that, but also keeping in mind safety? Looking at ensuring that we have the infrastructure to get people safely from point A to point B. We feel like in campus and downtown, that's there because you don't have the highway crossings. You don't have some of those obstacles that create that, so we'll have to work through that. So this is a guide of what a user would see on there as they're on their ride to see where they can go, where they can't go, and all that is monitored. And then all the data and information would come back to us. So we would know exactly who's using it, how they're using it, what times, what preferences. The other side of this is the company would be responsible for collection, redistribution, charging. All of this is the responsibility of the company. The university nor the city would make anything as sorts of revenue, but it would also not cost us anything as part of this program. So the responsibility lays on the company to take care of all that, and all that would be worked out through the agreement process. So these are the kind of broad overview of what I talked about. So tonight is really, and I told you I was trying to do better, trying to keep it brief, was really to make sure that you all are okay with the concept of this. That's something we had talked about at one of our strategic planning goal sessions, and I can't remember if it was this commission or the commission before, and then COVID hit, and there's been like one thing after another, and it's something at the staff level, Jennifer Tugas and I have been talking about, along with Greg Meredith, for the last several years about, okay, what does this look like? You might remember about 4 years ago, WKU did a partnership with VioRide for a bike share program, which was just bikes. Similar concept, but they were actual bicycles. But the city was not a party of that. VioRide pulled out because their domain was only campus. And by the time we had kind of gotten ready to join in on that, they had already pulled the plug and were moving on. So that's where this kind of conversation spurred. You'll also remember several years ago, many cities got inundated with scooters. Work on a similar model, but they are just kind of dumped into your community, and we have no authority to control or regulate the use of the scooters. And so I have ridden one of those electric scooters, and I recommend that we never have electric scooters in this community.
I agree.
Okay. You all vote. I don't. All I can do is make recommendations. And so whenever we talked about how do we move people give another mode of transportation option to people in the community, and this concept came up where you can sit down, hold the handlebars, your center of gravity is lower. Most of us are accustomed to riding a bicycle. It's very comfortable and natural position to us. But then we can also set parameters on where they can go, when they can go, what times they can operate, where they have to be parked. And we can work with a company to develop an operational plan that fits for this community and fits for the campus. Then that seems like a much better opportunity than just waiting for the scooter company to come in and dump a bunch of scooters in and us have to then deal with it on the back end. So as I said at the beginning, tonight is really about, do you approve this concept? Then we can work on the final operations plan with the company, formalize the agreements, move forward with everything, and the goal would be to launch at the fall semester when the students return. Really, the target market for this is 18 to 24-year-olds, but seeing some data from the company, there's actually more of their second highest class is that 35 to 45-year-olds. That I still fit into. And I will tell you, they are a lot of fun to ride if and when these come to town. So with that, I'll close, and I think that's probably the fastest presentation I've ever given you all. So I'll entertain any questions or concerns that you all might have.
Just one quick, would the city, if something did happen, would we be liable for anything?
No.
Okay.
No, I think we're just allowing them to use our space. No different than allowing someone to walk down the sidewalk, or ride down one of our bike lanes. There's no liability for us.
My next question, we do this and it does great. Can we expand it to other parts of our community?
And then that would be part of our hope, is to really grow this out, to give opportunities for access and another mode of transportation to some of our community members to have that. But as we talked about in some other programs, this crawl, walk, run, we want to kind of figure out how it's going to work. Is the community going to adopt it? Is the community going to say, well, this is a waste of time, this isn't worth anything, and it's a bad idea? Then get them out of here, and we'll just go back to walking around and driving around. But it's about giving the opportunity for some of these things to occur.
Great, thank you.
What kind of price point are we looking at? They're charging by the hour, by the 15-minute, by, what is it?
So I think it's $1 to unlock and about 29 cents a minute. Yeah, but these are not long rides. Think of this as you're going 3 or 4 blocks. He has told us their average cost, and it's like less than $5. These are very short, quick rides. These are not made to jump in and ride across town.
How do they handle hills?
It climbed the hill in our parking lot with me riding it.
Say no more.
Just saying.
Wow.
That is one of the concerns, and I think they're trying to come out with some newer designs to have that. But you can tell whenever you're on the hill, physics takes over.
So Brent, I've ridden several e-bikes. They're just power assisted.
Yeah.
Is this power assisted, or this like you push a
There are
button?
no pedals.
Oh, it goes without your power.
It goes without your power. There are foot pegs. There's a throttle on this side and a bell. Ring, 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 ring.
Can we get baskets?
I wasn't going to bring this up, but they do offer a longer-term rental program for people that could have one where they could, pay so much per month and it is theirs. They get a charging station, they get everything. And I did see baskets on those. But just for the regular community-wide, here's one, I'm going to ride it a couple of blocks, then those would not have the baskets on them.
One last question, because we've talked about the birds and the limes and all the scooters, and it's kind of messy down there in Nashville. So if a user decides to just leave it over there at the courthouse or here at City Hall grounds, it just continues to rack up the 29 cents.
Since the company has access to everything and knows everything, they can also flag them, they can fine them, they can ban them, they can charge them, they can create that. But they're also monitoring to know this one is not upright. We need to go rebalance it. We've got too much of a concentration. So they would have staff, Wheels employees
Got it.
that are responsible for that part of
The
it.
limes and those others are like my son was a kid down there with an app, and he would have to go find them. They called them retrievers, and creeping around in people's backyards and things, and I just couldn't understand, why would you do that? But, is it adventure for young men? And so I just would not want for us to do anything like that. Okay. Right, or we need to pick them up and send them a fine. I mean, because you can't have these things just thrown all over sidewalks.
And that's probably been 50% of our conversation with them is about that, because we are concerned about that. We were concerned about that through our conversations, and that's where we'll spend more of the time on the development is really defining that. Now, they will be responsible for finding designated parking areas on private property, things that we don't control. We're not going to give access to someone else's property for that. But really, these could just be a painted rectangle in the corner of the parking lot. They could be just a space so people know to take it to this space to turn it back. And that way we were attempting to control this so they're not just thrown all over town. That's not what we want, because we know what that means. That means the business owners call you all call us. We know how that works.
And I see a helmet attached to it, so somebody can unlock the helmet as well.
Brent, really quick, when I was in Hawaii, we actually were on like bikes, but they were power assisted. I'm excited for it like being power assisted, because I feel like that our society we've gotten a little lazy a little bit.
Understand.
And I think that it would be a great idea, us having something like that, because me and my cousin was gonna get on like motorcycles, and our wives at the time told us, "No, y'all gonna kill yourself." And the sad reality was going to get donuts. I'm being honest.
Well, if
So-
if you notice in the beginning of this, I didn't put any of the health reasons up there because since they're not pedaled, rided, these are really just sit-on e-bikes. And so this is kind of what the new market is. Those that want to ride bikes can still buy a bicycle and ride a bicycle. This is about an e-bike that is an electric bike.
Is it more cost feasible us having, to me, it looks like a scooter. That's why I kind of chuckled, because it did look like a scooter. The way
It's
it's
an e-bike. I'm very particular about the terminology on these,
I
because scooters mean something else to a lot of people.
Was there a reason why, I guess, we're going with this e-bike as opposed to a pedal type of e-bike, and we can have more?
So the original plan between WKU and VORAD, and I don't want to talk on behalf of Jennifer so she can fill in the gaps that I leave here, started with a regular bicycle and then was, I think, supposed to transition, if it didn't transition, into an assisted bicycle. And she could talk about the adoption of that or how people felt about that. But really, when you look out there, there's not as many of those as there used to be, as the technology has changed, as things have adapted. And the reason I don't use the term scooter, because scooter now means the stand-up bird lime that we see littering across all these communities that we don't want in this community. In case you misunderstood what I said, we don't want those in our community. And the e-bike is the in-between. It's much safer. Because you do sit down, it's a very natural, comfortable position with the larger tires, but it does not have the pedal part. And there's not a lot of companies out there that are doing the pedal part in this type of model like they used to years ago. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll add a couple of points. One is Brent's taller than I am. The bicycles, or the e-bikes themselves, are modular. And so they're actually very from a cost point of view, I think it's actually more expensive to operate a electric assist pedal bike, because you have more components that can brake and maintain and everything else. The way they've designed these particular bikes, the batteries themselves, they just bring a new battery, swap out for the old battery. You're not plugging them in anywhere. They're doing all of the charging at a warehouse. If a fender breaks, they put a new fender on it. It's modular. So, we have the advantages of kind of the manufacturing in mass. The Ford model of everything, all the components are the same and interchangeable. So it's actually a very cost-effective little micro-mobility vehicle, from that point of view. Yeah. And I'd also like to say that we have definitely learned things from the VO Ride experience. So we can say that this is definitely Bike Share 2.0. And some of the things that he talked about, the technology is advanced now to the point where you can say this is where the bike needs to land. And there are mechanisms to enforce that. And it is a completely turnkey operation, from our point of view. So, really looking forward to having that city partnership to bring this, micromobility solution to Bowling Green and to campus. My office right now is at the corner of Russellville Road and University Boulevard, and so I'm seeing the kids that are on the stand-up scooters, the little one-wheel things that, however those things. I'm seeing all of these devices, and the electric scooter or the electric skateboards. Just all sorts of things that the kids are there. And if we bring this kind of a solution to them, then it could be good things. So really like that town and gown connection, bring more people to downtown, make it easier for students who don't have a car on campus to do the same. And really like the product. I was one of those that tested it up the hill too, so it's fun.
Do we have any data that shows, I guess, the cost effectiveness? And the only reason why I'm saying it is because when I was in Hawaii, the only two things that I've seen, three things, they had those, it's kind of like a car. But I saw, besides the motorcycles, I saw the e-bikes, not kind of the e-bike that you're describing. Yeah. I saw a lot of people getting on there. And it was so fun that when I rode that e-bike, because it had been years, and I'm in that demographic where you don't supposed to be riding an e-bike. Yeah, I'm closer to 50.
Yeah.
But when I was on that, I convinced my wife, who haven't been on a bike for probably 25 years. And it was even so cheap that we probably paid maybe about like $10 riding around Hawaii and the beach for like close to 2 hours.
Gotcha.
And when I look at like the 29 cents per, I believe, minute, and I guess Commissioner Hill added it up, it was almost like $17, $17.4. I can see where a cheaper version of the e-bike that people in our city trying to grow our entertainment district could have fun with these things, no matter what age you are.
Yeah.
Is that even an option to even go back and look at those?
I don't believe that Wheels carries a pedal assist version of this vehicle. But I do believe they have, if I'm not mistaken, the conversations we had with them, there are different pricing options. And then we would have to go back and have those conversations. But there's some equity considerations in there with all the micromobility providers, and I think that becomes an option for us.
Sounds great. Thank you all. It's exciting.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. You might have already said this and I missed this, but just because it's a bike, but it's powered, these are going to be on the roads, or also you can use them on greenways or not on greenways, just to understand where you would ride them.
So the bicycle lanes, yes. Where a bike would be allowed to go, so we see them as bikes. We still have to work out some of the greenway stuff because of some of the restrictions that were intended whenever those were developed years and years ago, before the technology existed that exists today. So we still have to work through some of those on the greenways. That would be our intent, was to allow them on greenways. Yes, absolutely.
And an option would be to control the speed on the greenways. Okay, if this one's on a greenway, it's a 15-mile-per-hour zone instead of I think they could go as fast as 20 miles an hour.
I'm super grateful for both of you for bringing this, other option for transportation for short distances for our citizens. And I hope you all continue to bring new and exciting ways that we can help folks thrive as we're growing. And I think as we grow, more of these opportunities are available to us. So I'm just grateful for you all bringing these exciting ideas and new opportunities.
Sue said she's a yes. I'm more of a bike. I don't see a difference between these and the scooters. I think they're the same. I think just one you're sitting on a seat and one you're holding the handlebar. I think that's the only difference. I like the idea, and I don't like the idea of the helmet. I understand it has the little shred things you can put in there, but it's sitting outside all the time. It's just not my idea of putting a helmet that's outside all the time on my head.
You're not required to wear a helmet.
I understand that.
So that's
That
a
was the
user's
brochure,
choice.
had 3 helmets on the people riding the bike without the helmet. I saw that. Again, I think these are going to be in the same nuisance that we're trying to avoid, but it's just kind of bat an eye because it looks like a bike, but it's not a bike. So that's where I fell.
And I have to be with the mayor this time because I do love the idea. I'll be honest with you, I love the idea.
Carlos, will you please use your mic?
Oh, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I do love the idea, but I have to be with the mayor at this time because to me, it does look like a scooter. That's the reason why I chuckled. I do wish that we would have more of an e-bike where there's a pedal for so many reasons, because I think that it'll be beneficial. The people can have fun, number one. Second, it's exercise as well, and it's a quick way to get around. So that's the only reason why I'm going to be with the mayor at this time.
Am I counting you both as no's then? So I know whether or not how to move forward? Okay.
I'm a yes. And I think, because you all did have the power-assisted bikes on WKU's campus, right? Or they were just bikes?
We were on the verge of bringing them when they pulled out.
Yeah.
We had the pedal version.
Yeah. So just in terms of thinking through what we've learned from having the bikes and what, with this sort of thing being around a while, I feel like we're figuring out what the kinks are and what are what do we need for this to be successful, not get dumped. And I think part of it being fully powered probably helps with that. So I'm a yes.
I already said I support it.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
F3.
good deal. We'll
Power
move
of
forward.
3.
That's what we learn. All right, thank you all. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you both. All right, this opens up for our public comments at this time. And we have none at this time. Our next scheduled meeting is May 3rd, 2022. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I'll tell you later.